Fleeman Trio, Saturday afternoon live at Green Lady Lounge. Is this the first CD under your name as a leader?
Yes.
That is amazing.
I know.
It
took so long.
Yeah, well, just an artist of your stature, you've just done, and you're on so many recordings. That's just amazing to me. This is the first one with you.
Right.
As a
Well,
leader.
I've always been, my mentality has always been to be a sideman, and that's always been my sort of like, when you start to cross over and you start to book things, well, you start to become known for that, and you become a competitor. So, like especially in when I was doing the country clubs,
Right.
I was satisfied with, okay, I work with Steve Miller, I work for Vince Bilardo's. These are names that were real big names in that arena, and so I was always very content with that because I was, I didn't have to deal with the mom of the bride.
Or the mystery relative that came up halfway through.
Oh, right. You have to make those
who are you?
tough calls, and anyway, so but the dream was always there to do something on my own, and thanks to John Scott and the Green Lady Lounge, I got an opportunity of a lifetime to start to think about me as a leader and my own music, and that's been the biggest thing for me, is just to have that motivation to write and write instead of just waiting for that lightning bolt to come out of the sky and hit you, to actually treat it like a job. And I'm not that I'm anywhere on that level, but when somebody said to the Beatles, well, how do you write so prolific? They said, well, we wrote so many songs. And there were so many songs you never heard that maybe didn't have it, maybe had a little bit of a hint of what's to come. But yeah, writing is that's been my main focus.
And so the CD that's coming out soon is all original music, mostly yours, but also several by Gerald Spaits.
That's right.
And then there's a volume 2 that's already been recorded and mixed. It just kind of needs to be finalized.
So when it finally happens for me, it really happens.
and that's all original music as well. And again, your compositions and Gerald's, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that one's already recorded now. Do you have enough? Do you have more tunes? Is there a volume 3 in the future?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, really, we're just scratching the surface because I'm still, writing a lot, and we're starting to do some newer things that I've written that are a little bit more, I don't know how to put it, like folky side, and exploring another side of that, that kind of comes out of my solo guitar kind of playing,
Sure.
So that and it's nice to have that variety, come in something that's completely different, and to get the audience in another way.
Right. Well, that Saturday afternoon gig is just such a gem, and you guys are 2:30 to 5:30, and I just think for people who are wanting to catch jazz in Kansas City on a Saturday, maybe they've got dinner plans or whatever, it's just such a great little
perfect
gem.
right in between lunch and dinner, and we get a good listening crowd. It's just fantastic, and getting a lot of repeat business, people that come in, and now they're getting to know the songs, and so that's exciting too.
That's awesome. So this your first releases as a leader.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a Rod Fleeman discography. I know about Dry Jack, right? I've got some Dry Jack vinyl.
Right.
Was that the first group you recorded with?
Yes, I mean,
Probably.
yeah. In terms of rather than just.
The next thing I know about is Inner String, but I'm guessing there were some in between there.
Yeah, well, the Dry Jack was the late '70s, and I joined that band, and we did 2 records for Inner City Records, and I'm really proud of that.
They're great records.
It's another, like I say, it's another side of me.
Right.
We were playing more fusion and more.
A little bit fusion, but also
rock
Americana.
Down. Americana.
Yeah.
It was a very cool. I call it the smorgasbord of fusion bands.
Right. It almost like a little more jazz-oriented, almost kind of like Dixie Dregs, sort of like it could come from anywhere.
Right, and that was part. In part, at least I'll take some credit. Chuck did almost 99% of all the writing was done by Chuck, but he was younger than I was, so I was like an older brother to him. I think when I first joined Dry Jack,
that's Chuck Lamb, right?
Chuck Lamb, yeah, he was 19, so he was, and I was maybe 20. 24, not that big, but at that time period. So So I would turn him on to stuff. His whole world up to then was kind of like Chick Corea and Return to Forever, and his writing reflected that. But then I went to school in Miami, and that's where I met Steve Morse, because he was going to school there also. Right. And that's where the Dixie Dregs got formed, as called the University of Miami Rock Ensemble. And they got credit for rehearsing on campus. It was like his own little thing, because he didn't fit the category of being a typical jazz guitarist. And so so I would turn Chuck onto that, bring a Dixie Dreg album in, turn him onto it, or whoever, Dave Grusin with Lee Rettenauer.
Right.
They had a record that was direct to disc that was had sort of Americana sound to it. And so Chuck, it was just like, just give him the information, and then all of a sudden they had a tune, that
the genius goes to work and comes back with the
right.
product.
So it was like his world was kind of broadening. The good news is like I say, it was like, if you don't like that song, stick around. You might like the next one, and which, unfortunately, like in the business, like when it came to trying to get on another label, when Inner City kind of folded up their tent, it was hard, because all the labels would say, well, we want to know what we're, we want to know.
They want to be able to categorize it. What bins it go in?
Put the needle in on anywhere and know what you're going to get. And we weren't like that. We were really not like that.
So, Dry Jack, and then what other bands?
Then I left Dry Jack and moved back here with my wife to Kansas City, and in part due to family reasons, and just I felt like I needed a change, and so we moved back to Kansas City, and then that started the 80 period where I was doing the country clubs and all of that, and working, playing the guitar. That's when I drew the line in the sand. Steve Miller called me up after he found out I was back in Kansas City, and he called about hiring me for some gigs, and I said, well, Steve, you got to know, I'm not playing the bass anymore.
Okay.
I did a lot of electric bass playing before Dry Jack, and Dry Jack kind of got me back on my instrument, and so I told Steve, and a little pause on the phone, and then he said, okay, that's okay, I'm good for that, so I held my ground.
And are you on? They did an album, right? The Steve Miller.
Yeah, that's right.
You're on that, right?
I'm on that record.
Yeah, I've seen Julie's posted that a few times.
Yeah, it's a great picture on the cover
it's
of.
An amazing photograph.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of talent, a lot of Kansas City talent on that. Band.
And currently now I'm doing Kansas City Jazz Orchestra, which it's tremendous to be in that situation, and some of the performers we played with have been really fantastic. So, right.
And you just did recently the New York Voices.
Yes. There was one unexpected thing. I played their show before, but when we only had one rehearsal, and I got to the rehearsal, and on my music stand was Bohemian Rhapsody. And Brian May,
see that coming.
Brian May, one of the greatest, rock guitarists of all time, classic solo, written out note for note. And I thought, this is the New York Voices. It turns out they have this arrangement they do with big band, and it's a great arrangement of the song.
But they got the guitar solo
like a cover. It's like a cover of the original song, and not like it's not stepping away from it; it's stepping into it.
Right, you're not blowing over changes.
Boy, did I step into it! But I don't have the right guitar for the rehearsal. I'll have something for tomorrow. And then I just all day long just worked on fingerings and try to get that, mastered by concert time.
Right, and then you mentioned to me the other day that even inspired you to maybe think about getting a solid body guitar.
Well, after the fact, I thought, I started looking at a couple of how-to videos, and I realized, okay, really need to have the right guitar, and my 355 is a very versatile guitar, so it worked okay, and I had some distortion, but I'd like to get a solid body and just explore that side of something I used to do, with Dry Jack, a little more rocked out. So.
Well, that's just so amazing that, even at this stage of your career, you're still like, I'm going to get a new guitar and develop a new style. That's so great.
It may go along with my new nickname, when I played with Oleta Adams with the Kansas City Symphony Memorial Day concert, and they did video. It was on TV, and somebody showed me a closed caption shot. Oleta introduced me because I had a solo.
Right.
and she said Rod Fleeman on guitar, but when they put the caption on the screen, it said Rock Lehman.
Rock Lehman.
Rock Lehman. So maybe I need a guitar for Rock to play.
Right. That'd be a good alter ego.
Yes, exactly.
A good alter ego pseudonym. So, you've got this new CD coming out early in 2023.
Yes.
You're going to continue doing the Saturday afternoon at Green Lady Lounge gigs.
Yes.
And you're going to keep doing Kansas City Jazz Orchestra. What else can we expect from Rod Fleeman in the near future?
Well, that's a good
question.
That's a good question. That's a good question. No, I love what I'm doing. I love, and I'm still a sideman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still doing work with different people and different situations. Still get some work with, of course, didn't mention Marilyn Maye, and May,
Oh, right.
Marilyn Maye
Right.
is just the icon of icons.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, and
Yeah.
I've known her for a long time. In fact, one of my early gigs with Greg Mize was backing Marilyn up at some convention.
Okay.
And so that's how far back. I was like 19 when I first played with Marilyn Maye. So,
And she was probably in her 50s.
yeah, well, she's what, almost 90,
96.
95?
The last time I saw her, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like she was 94, and her joke was, "Oh, to be 93 again."
Right. Yeah, that was the name of the show.
I'm probably messing the exact age up, but what? Yeah, and you've worked with her, also.
Yeah, I think when she turned 94, it was 94, and there's more, and there's still more.
Yeah, well, she's. Do you have anything coming up with her, or is that just the phone will ring this summer, or what do you think?
No, I do some traveling with her because I mean she does a lot of traveling,
Right.
and she does
Right.
a lot of stuff in New York, and so occasionally I get to do some things with her, and it's always an honor. And she's just such a I mean, it's like it's old school,
Right.
in a way that most singers don't understand all the nuances that she does because she came up in a totally different time period,
Right.
and so it's great to see her career have a comeback,
Right.
even at this late stage. And
Right.
I say late stage in her life. Who knows? Maybe she'll go another 50 years.
Well, and hopefully you will too.
Yeah.
Because here you are. A lot of people would be kind of wrapping up their careers, and you're just getting going on releasing your own original music.
Well, thank you, and that if I'm going to have a role model, I'm going to look at Claude Fiddler Williams. I got to work with Claude, and Claude went up into his 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and the fire was always there, even when towards the end he had dementia, and
But he can still
but
play.
the fire was still there.
Yeah.
The fire was just burning as bright as ever.
Right. I got to do a couple of gigs with him, and yeah, it was intense.
Oh yeah,
It was
Oh, yeah.
intense.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he took no prisoners.
Right. Well, it's just so great to get a chance to talk with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your trio develop and hearing the
thanks.
new tunes.
Thanks, Ken, and thanks, John Scott, and thanks, Green Lady, and I couldn't be happier to be part of the family.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for talking with us today, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you soon.
You bet. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, man.